Very pleased that Coach Ron Polk has agreed to be our banquet speaker tonight. He has not charged us any speaker fee. Guys, he's here on his own accord because he wants to be here tonight. Thank you. And he's doing that so that hopefully we can generate some funds for the baseball program. Remember specifically those lights, get those lights up. Although we appreciate this, he's brought several copies of his book, The Baseball Playbook. This book is the leading textbook on coaching and playing baseball, selling a little over, and I'm not making this number up, 105,000 copies. It is that's pages in the Delcom Library. Just play along, kids. That's where I'm from. It's a 520-page book that is for both coaches and players. It's an instructional manual that covers every aspect of the sport of baseball. At this point in time, this playbook has outsold all other baseball textbooks by 4 to 1. His book retails in all book-selling markets for close to $35. But at this banquet, his book will cost just $20. And if I'm not mistaken, Coach will sign it for you later on during a meet and greet that we'll have after his speech. All the books for sale, Brian Campbell, reread. All the books for sale tonight have already been pre-autographed by Coach Polk. He said that way he knows he spelled it correctly. And he will personalize. This is the part that I messed up. He's willing to personalize each book sold as you leave the banquet tonight. So that's pretty cool. He can personalize it to you. We have a person assigned to be at a table next to Coach Polk as you leave. That person will make change and also accept checks made out to Coach. Once you pick up a book, bring it to Coach Polk at the exit door, and it will be personalized. So again, what a great momentum, what a great memory of our night here together. So once again, can we give a round of applause for Coach Polk for being here tonight? I think Coach is staying at the Four Seasons, Ville Platte, and very happy to have him here. All right, guys, this is pretty cool. Considered by many to be the father of Southeastern Conference baseball, Ron Polk has just completed his 56th year coaching college baseball, with 53 of those years coaching NCAA D1 players. His resume includes 31 seasons as a head coach in the SEC, 1,373 wins, 6 Halls of Fame, including the Swamp Pop. That's not written, guys. I'm just trying to see if you'll wait. 7 tours as a coach with USA National Baseball. When I was growing up, Mississippi State, man, that's the first college baseball team I remember. That's it. 8 trips to the College World Series in Omaha with 3 different schools and 9 summers coaching in the prestigious Cape Cod Summer League in Massachusetts. He has served as an assistant coach at the University of Arizona, the University of New Mexico, Miami-Dade Community College, the University of Miami, and the University of Alabama, Birmingham. I got to throw in that Birmingham coach, or they boo. Alabama, Birmingham. All right. He was the head coach at Georgia Southern University for 4 years, taking them to the College World Series in his 2nd season. He served as the head coach at the University of Georgia for 2 seasons and also taking them to the College World Series. He is most famous for being the head coach at Mississippi State for 29 years, taking them to the College World Series 6 times. Ron Polk is one of only 3 college baseball coaches to ever take 3 different schools to the NCAA College World Series in Omaha. In 1966, he was on the coaching staff at the University of Arizona that also made an appearance in Omaha. Thus, his teams have made appearances in Omaha for 5 decades. 187 of his players as a head coach have signed professional baseball contracts, with 29 of them having played in the show in the major leagues. He has coached 35 All-Americans, 76 All-SEC players. In addition, he's had 8 of his players drafted in the first round of the Major League Baseball draft. In 31 of his 35 years as head coach, his teams have been ranked in the NCAA Division I top 20 at some point in the season, with 6 of those teams finishing in the top 6 in the country. 4 of his Mississippi State teams were ranked number 1 in the country during parts of each season. Polk was named the National Baseball Coach of the Year twice, and SEC Baseball Coach of the Year 5 times. Baseball America named him the 6th greatest baseball coach in college baseball history in 1999. He's sitting right over there. I'm about to introduce it to you. How cool is that? In his 35 years as an NCAA Division I baseball coach, he had only 1 losing season. And he is now the winningest coach in all sports, men and women, in Southeastern Conference history. Polk is the former president of the American Baseball Coaches Association and the winner of the Lefty Gomez Award, the highest award in the association. In 1987, he was named the State of Mississippi Sportsman of the Year, and in 2017, he received the highest award given out by the State of Mississippi Athletic Hall of Fame, the Rube Award. In 1997, and again on the new stadium in 2019, the baseball stadium on the campus of Mississippi State was named after him. Polk was named an SEC legend in 2018. He has served on the USA National Baseball coaching staff 7 times, more than any other college baseball coach in history. He served as an assistant coach 5 times and a head coach twice. In both 88 and 96, he was on the coaching staff of the Olympic baseball team, 88 in Seoul, South Korea, and 96 in Atlanta, Georgia. In addition, he has spoken at hundreds of baseball clinics and camps all over the United States, and took his Mississippi State team to play in both Germany and the Netherlands. That's east of Kaplan, guys. It's far away. Polk wrote the book on coaching baseball for players and coaches, and as the author and publisher of the Baseball Playbook, it has been the leading teaching textbook used in over 450 college and university baseball coaching classes, with a little over, once again, $125,000 books sold. So if we can, before I announce Coach, have a couple more lines, can we make sure our phones are on silent, if you don't mind, guys? Coach Polk continues to coach college baseball players each summer in the Cape Cod and Prospect Leagues, and also serves as the special assistant to the athletic director at Mississippi State. What a career, what a resume, what a legend. Ladies and gentlemen, Coach Ron Polk. Hey, go Tigers, go Tigers. Go Tigers.
About 4 years ago, I was roasting my good friend Skip Bertman at his 80th birthday, and there were 300 Cajuns in that room in the football stadium at LSU, and 1 Bulldog, and that was me. It's great being in Ville Platte, but my age, it's great being anywhere. And but anyway, what a great looking group of boys in front of me. Wow, wow. I don't think there's an ugly kid here. Uh-oh. Come here. Come on up here. Come on. I'm so sorry. Were you born with that face? Have you ever considered facial reconstruction surgery?
No.
I bet when you were born, I mean, your doctor looked at you, and instead of slapping you to wake you up, he slapped your mom and dad. All right, let me ask you a final question. Do you have a girlfriend?
Yes, sir.
I hate to see what she looks like. Is she here tonight? All right, thank you, thank you. Oh, you're a nice looking boy, okay, all right. Hey, again, it's great being here. 7-hour drive from Starkville, Mississippi here. And I'll be staying with Chris. Where's Chris at tonight? At his house or RV, and looking forward to that. And then head back to Starkville. And then, believe it or not, I'm in Starkville for 12 hours, and I had to head to Chicago. I'm doing 6 of these presentations to high schools in the suburbs of Chicago. Come back to Starkville, then head to the West Coast for 5, then come back and head 31 banquets in January and February, and all of them. Now, you gave me applause when he said that I do this free. I do it everywhere free. I don't charge ever anybody at all. If I sell some books, that helps out a lot. But no, I appreciate Chris inviting me here. He must have I imagine about 7-8 months ago, he gives me a call, and he told me about Ville Platte in Sacred Heart High School, and Sacred Heart, right? Yeah, Sacred Heart High School. I've never been to Ville Platte, and I've been all over the world. And he said to me, we worked it out, worked the date out. We had to change it because the Civic Center was not available at that time. And I still remember, he said, now, Coach, listen, do you believe in the Constitution? I said, yeah. Do you believe in the Bill of Rights? I said, yeah. He said, well, if you believe in the Constitution and Bill of Rights, you've got to believe in free speech. I said, yeah. He said, great. You're going to give her free speech here in Ville Platte. And that's where I'm here. But the boys are probably saying, how long is this going to last? Is this going to be boring, right? But when I speak, I kind of follow what Henry VIII said to his 9th wife. I will not be keeping you that long, okay? And I'm a big believer in time management. Big believer in time management. In fact, last month I bought 3 books on time management, but I haven't had time to read them yet, so, but no, I'm not going to bore you guys, because I'm here for you guys. 7-hour drive here, 7-hour back, I have no problem with that at all. I'm here for you guys, your coaches. And then, how many of you are parents of these boys? Raise your hand, raise your hand. Great, we appreciate you being here. I just kind of follow some notes, and so every once in a while I'll look down, and I'm not going to read anything to you, believe me, but I think it's very important you understand that I've been involved with a lot of rivalries. Starting out at the University of Arizona. Any of you boys know who the big rival is for the University of Arizona in Tucson, Arizona? Anybody? Arizona State Sun Devils. Boy, that's a tough rivalry. Then I went to the University of Miami. Who's the big rival of the University of Miami? Anybody? Florida and Florida State, the Seminoles and Gators. All right? Then I go to Georgia. Who do the fans and alumni say, I don't care how you do, but just beat Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech's a big rivalry. And then I went to New Mexico. I was at the University of New Mexico. This is a toughie. Who's the big rival of the University of New Mexico? New Mexico State Aggies. Then I went to Mississippi State. Who was the biggest rival of Mississippi State? And LSU. Would you believe Skip Bertman and I finished 34 and 34 against each other? Do not let him say ever that he's got me, okay? That's a true story. 34 into 34. But all the speaking I do, anybody here know the boys? What town Ole Miss is in? Oxford, Mississippi. Great. Appreciate you doing that. Oxford, Mississippi. Been there many times, as I've been in Baton Rouge many times. Alex Box Stadium, the old one, many times. I went through 5 LSU baseball coaches during my career. 5. And the big rivalry between Mississippi State and Ole Miss may not be the toughest regard on the field. But last year, Ole Miss won the national championship. We won the national championship the year before. 2 schools from the state of Mississippi, a state of 2.9 million people. How did that happen? Well, we got great facilities, we got great fans. Kids played hard. It's great to have back-to-back national baseball champions from the state of Mississippi. But when I have to speak in Oxford, Mississippi, they don't like me up there. Because I beat them all the time. I remember going up there several years ago. I was asked to speak at the First Baptist Church. Has anybody here ever been to Oxford, Mississippi? The square, right downtown, beautiful. And I love Oxford, Mississippi. I have nothing against Ole Miss at all. Big rival, but, the fans don't like each other, but, I never had a problem. So I was asked to speak at the First Baptist Church, downtown Oxford, on the square, at a Sunday night father and son banquet. And I said to the guy who booked me, I said, they don't like me much in your town, you know that. He said, yeah, we know that, but we hear you're a good speaker, we'd like to have you. So I agreed to do it, and so I didn't know how it was going to be received. First Baptist Church, downtown square. Baptists in Mississippi have the largest marquees of any denomination. So I went around the corner, and the big lights lit up was the marquee in front of the First Baptist Church. Again, I'm speaking at night at the Father-Son banquet. It said, the sermon for today is, do you know what hell is? And right below it said, come and hear Ron Polk speak tonight. That's a true story. I almost turned around and went home. Boys, can you imagine how many airplanes I have been on in my life? Can you imagine how many hotels I have been in my life? You know how many home visits I've had? How many recruiting trips? How many games I've coached? I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot. And you guys are thinking, my gosh, he's going to leave here, he's going to Chicago for 6, and he's heading to the West Coast, come back, go to Michigan, I got to speak in Michigan, a baseball thing, on to Nashville, on to Charlotte. You say, oh, would I love to do that? Let me tell you. I don't mind the speaking, I don't mind meeting people, but let me tell you, I hate the travel. It's tough, especially in airplanes. I think it was 2 weeks ago, I'm flying from Golden Triangle Regional Airport in Columbus, Mississippi. That's our only airport close to Starkville, Mississippi. Flying to Atlanta. I'm speaking in Charlotte, North Carolina. Every time I get on a plane, I always get an aisle seat so I don't get stuck in the middle seat. And I also make sure that I bring a paper on the plane because I like to read. All right? And when I'm sleeping on the plane, from Atlanta to Charlotte, it's only about an hour flight. But I was tired. I think I was speaking somewhere the night before, so I'm in an aisle seat, and I just started really getting into the sleep. And a guy came down the aisle, banged me on the shoulder, and asked me the stupidest question I've ever been asked in my life. He woke me up, and I was ticked. And he asked me, sir, are you reading that newspaper that you're sitting on? I said, that's the stupidest question I've ever heard in my life. I did something really stupid. I stood up and turned the pages of the paper and sat back down. So I'll never forget, I get on the aisle seat in the window seat from Atlanta to Charlotte. We haven't even closed the door yet on the plane. This guy was shaking like a leaf. I thought he was having an epileptic seizure. So I said, are you okay? Do you need me to get the story? Are you okay? He said, yeah, I'm okay. I'm just scared to death. I said, what are you scared to death of? He said, we might crash. And I said to him, that's a possibility, yeah. He started shaking some more. I said to him, listen, sir, don't you realize in the United States of America, every year, just about every year, there's more trains that crash than planes. And he said, really? Now that calmed him down a little bit. I said, yeah. Didn't you read the paper a couple weeks ago, an Amtrak train in New Orleans had, crashed and, nobody got killed, but a couple injured. He said, no, I didn't read about that. I said, yeah, that happened down in New Orleans 2 weeks ago. And he said to me, well, how did the train crash? And I said to him, because a plane landed on top of it. And he started shaking some more. But, yeah, if you're really a good baseball player, football and basketball, coaches have to do home visits. I bet I have done for recruiting thousands and thousands of home visits. You got to do it. For the top prospects, you got to get in front of the boy, get in front of mom and dad, anybody in the neighborhood that happens to show up. And strange things happen sometimes when I have home visits. I think the strangest thing that ever happened was many years ago. I'm in Tampa, Florida. This shortstop from Tampa Jesuit High School, he is a hot commodity. Guys, that means everybody wanted this boy to go to their college. Highly recruited. And I had prepared very much, for this particular evening. And, we had a chance because one of his good friends was at Mississippi State. So I get to the house, and Mom and Dad were there, and I can still remember the young man, shortstop right here, good-looking young man. And Dad was here, Mom's here. Now, sometimes when you're in home visits, you have uncles and aunts and nephews and cousins. But no, the only other person in that room was Grandma. It had to be a grandma. She had to be about 99 years old. And she's to my right. She doesn't say a word all night. Kid asked good questions. Mom and Dad asked good questions. I did a heck of a job. I sold Mississippi State and the great baseball stadium we have, the crowds we have. I mean, I did a heck of a job. And the bad thing is, not like tonight, this great meal, by the way. It's a great meal here tonight. I had to eat, got off the plane, drove to the house in a rental car. So there was a bowl of peanuts in front of me, and I love peanuts. So as I'm talking to the family, I'm eating these peanuts. And all of a sudden, I look down, ain't no more peanuts. It's gone. I ate them all. I happened to look to my right, and Grandma gave me a bad look. I said to her, Mom, were these your peanuts here? She said, those are my peanuts. I said, I am so sorry. I've eaten all the peanuts in the bowl. I never forget. She looked at me and said, oh, don't mind, son. Call me son. Ever since I lost my teeth, all I've been able to do is suck the chocolate out of the peanuts and put them in that bowl. Now, Brian Chris Bryant, Dad did a great job in that harmonica. He did say on the resume, and just understand this, I've got more wins than any other coach in any sport in the SEC. That is true. Let me tell you what's not in the resume. This is true. I also have more losses than any other coach. You know why? 31 years in the SEC without getting fired. Ain't happening anymore. Nick Saban does a great job at Alabama. Has no chance of catching my numbers of wins. Why? He plays 12 games a year. Somebody computed the other day he would have to win 12 games a year for the next 244 years before you can catch the number of games. Because we play a lot of games. 56 regular season, SEC tournament, regionals, super regionals, and College World Series. So when I hear somebody say I got more wins than anybody else, yeah, that's nice, but I also have more losses. But, what I do understand, now, there's no arguing, and you notice there's no more arguing anymore in professional baseball games, big league, college, because why? Video review. Didn't have that when I coached. Everything is looked at by the umpire in chief and maybe one or two umpires, and so they come out yes or no. Safe or out, catch or no catch, foul or fair, and that's good. But there's no arguing anymore. I miss that. I really do. Do you know, every year I was in the SEC, boys, I led the SEC in getting thrown out of ball games. Every year. I got thrown out of Dana Cuba back-to-back in front of Fidel Castro 2 different nights. We had a communication problem. There was a Cuban umpire behind the plate. He didn't speak English, and I certainly didn't speak Spanish. But anyway, I never bumped an umpire. I don't cuss, never cussed an umpire. So people always ask after the game, my players, the press, radio guy, we have a network that I do the color on our 23-station radio network now at Mississippi State. Now I said, what'd you say? Well, you don't hear what you say. You're too far away. You're in the stands. There's times I've gone out and asked the umpire if he would throw me out of the game real quick. And say, why? I said, we're losing 10-0, it's cold. And I need a cigar. I need a cigar really bad. But let me just say, this is what happens sometimes when we talk to umpires in an argument. I'll just give you a couple. These are all true stories. University of Arkansas, Fayetteville. Anybody been to Fayetteville, Arkansas? Richest people in the SEC are in Fayetteville. Why? Home of Walmart, Tyson Food, and J.B. Hunt. Beautiful stadium, bomb stadium. Ours is gorgeous. $70 million stadium. I just raised $1 million for our baseball stadium. I hope you raise $1 million tonight. We built a beautiful weight room just for baseball, adjacent to a stadium right now that sold out for the next 8 years. We took in $5.5 million at the gate last spring. That's what Mississippi State baseball is all about. LSU baseball also is in the same boat, making a lot of money, which is good. 35, 40 years ago, that was not the case. So we're playing in Fayetteville, Arkansas, and Norman Bryan was the coach then. Dave Van Horn is now. But Norman called me the week before. We, Mississippi State at that time, was ranked number 1 in the country. The Razorbacks were ranked number 3 in the country. So he called me because he knew we travel with a lot of people, as LSU does. He said, Coach, you got to let your people know we're sold out. Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday afternoon, we got standing room only. You got to let your people know because I don't want to come all the way to Fayetteville to find out there's no seats. So we had to put the word out. I said, thank you for letting me know. So we get there Friday night, and I can tell real quick in batting practice, those pig suey guys were showing up. Let me tell you that. They go in these stupid caps they wear with pigs on them. Just like when I'm at LSU, I walk away here, go Tigers. It's in my sleep for the whole week of Leave Baton Rouge. Go Tigers, go Tigers. But anyway, I knew that there's a big crowd. I mean, we're number 1, they're number 3. And I looked around and I said, whoa, man, Chris, about the first inning, I said, this place is packed, it's wall to wall, it's not a seat to be had. And about the 4th or 5th inning, I thought maybe the umpire behind the plate might have graduated from the University of Arkansas. We were having a problem with the strike zone. It was a different strike zone for the Arkansas hitters as the Bulldog hitters. His strike zone was all over the place. You guys who pitch and hit, don't you want some consistency, Coach? He wants consistency from inning 1 to inning 7 or 9. This was not happening. This guy was all over the place. So I proceeded to go out, and I got thrown out of the game. And he gives it one of those big heave-ohs, and everybody's, flashing up the keychains. That's what they do. Keychain, get in your car, go home, get in your car, go home. So he throws me out, and I said to him when he did, I said, hey, where do you want me to go? Look at this stadium. There's not a seat to be had. It's packed. Where do you want me to go? And he looked at me and said, Coach Polk, I don't care where you go, but just go someplace where I cannot see you. So I walked over and stood right on top of home plate. I said, you haven't seen a thing here all night. I got thrown out a second time. It's the only time I've ever thrown out. We got any ball fans here? Tennessee? Knoxville? Anybody? Yeah. Well, I've been up there several times. I have a flip-top phone, boys. I don't know if I still have it. You say, whoa, you're really old. Really old. But I love my flip-top phone. And so I never used it in an argument, ever, except I did in Tennessee one time. And we were at a problem with the plate umpire in Knoxville. And so I went out there, and as I was trotting out, I always made the decision when I take that first step out of the dugout, I'm coming back, or I'm going to stay in the game, or I'm leaving. Because if I give the lineup card to one of my assistant coaches, they all say, see you after the game. They know I'm not coming back. I'm going to get out of here. And I gave the lineup to Coach Raffle, and he said, see you after the game. I said, yeah, I'll see you after the game. And I'd go out and get thrown out. And I was ticked. I mean, we were having a tough time. And so I don't know what got in my head, but I said to the umpire, the plate umpire, I said, listen, hey, I pulled out my cell phone and said, hey, one of my managers just saw this cell phone right outside the umpire's dressing room. Is it yours? He looks at it and said, what makes you think it's my cell phone? I said, because it's got 8 missed calls on it. That's why. He didn't appreciate that at all. Any Auburn War Eagles here? Huh? War Eagles? Well, this is a great story. Auburn, we're on the road. We travel with a lot of people. One of our lady travelers who still does come to our games, even though she's about 90 years old now, was a lady that always baked cake for our birthday cakes, boys, and cookies. I mean, just as nice. She loved our place. Came on the road, never missed a game. And she always tried to get on the road behind our dugout. At home, she can't get a seat behind our dugout, but on the road, maybe not as big a crowd. She always seats, because she wanted to be near the boys. That's how important it was to her. And the amazing thing about this lady is the fact that she had, when she yelled, you could hear her. I mean, she had those long lungs. And she always cupped her hands when she was yelling at the plate umpire. And she loved to get on the plate umpire. Nothing bad. I mean, just silly things, trying to get his attention. Well, here we are at Auburn, and I'm coaching third base. We're in the first base dugout. I'm a long way from my players. I could see her get up constantly, cup her hands, and say something negative to the plate umpire. And SEC umpires are told, do not respond to anybody in the stands. Don't look at them or laugh at what they say, because otherwise you're going to be worn out the whole night. And this guy was taking, I could tell, he was hearing every word, but he did not take his mask off, didn't even look at it. Until about the fifth inning, I'm coaching third, and I don't know why she said this. Never heard her say it before, but she stood up and cupped her hands, looked at that plate umpire, and screamed at him that everyone in the stands could hear it. Plate umpire! Plate umpire, if you were my husband, I would poison your drink. I couldn't believe she said that. That got him. He took that mask off, looked right at her and said, ma'am, if you were my wife, I'd drink it. Anybody been to Lexington, Kentucky? Wildcats. Would you believe my last year at Mississippi State, I got thrown out Friday night in Lexington, Saturday night in Lexington, and Sunday afternoon at the lineup exchange. We used to have a three-man system. Third base umpire on Friday night becomes the first base umpire. On Sunday, the plate umpire. They always go clockwise. And third base umpire Friday night missed a couple of calls. I get thrown out. He gets the first. He's still blowing calls, hurting us. I get thrown out by the same umpire. Sunday, guess where he's at? He's the home plate umpire. I got to exchange my lineup card with him. And I remember going up to him and I said to him, hey, you've had a bad weekend, big guy. You have had a rotten weekend. He said, no, I think I got the calls right. No, you've had a bad weekend. In fact, if I called you a crook right now, would you throw me out of this game? I said, Coach Polk, if you call me a crook, you're gone. I said, well, listen, let me ask another question. Throw me in this game if I just thought you were a crook? He said, no, I couldn't do that. And I looked at him and said, I think you're a crook. So I got thrown out of that ball game. Baton Rouge, Louisiana, LSU. How many times I've been down there playing against the Tigers? Yes, the loudest, in some cases, the most obnoxious and rude fans in the Southeastern Conference. And sometimes those fans bring their husbands with them. But I always enjoy it. Never will I forget, and you coaches have also done the same thing, is if you're in the dugout, you're a long way from home plate, the plate umpire. And for this particular game in Baton Rouge, I was yelling out to this umpire constantly, where's that last pitch at? I thought he meant, where's that pitch at? Where was that last pitch at? Have you said that many times? Yeah. In front of all these LSU fans, he stops the game, walks over to the dugout, brings me a top step and said, Coach Polk, I don't want to hear one more time, where was that last pitch at? Not one more time. And then he said to me, he must have been an English professor, he said, hey, don't you know you don't end a sentence with a preposition? I said, all right, where was that last pitch at, knucklehead? And so I got thrown out because that was a noun. But I Final One Florida Gators down in Gainesville. I come back, I get thrown out, and one of the coaches said, what'd you do? What happened? I said, I think he threw me out because I kicked dirt all over home plate. And he said to me, Coach, well, that's no reason to get thrown out. I said, yeah, but the umpire was sweeping it at the time, so anyway, but I thought you'd be interested to hear that. This is great. This is a great crowd. Met the coach, Chris. Got a lot more to talk about here tonight, but let me tell you this. I'm a very disciplined, structured person. I think I can see here at Sacred Heart High School we got some disciplined boys and disciplined parents, people here that care about them. And everybody can tell stories of where you became disciplined. Where did you learn your structure? I grew up in Phoenix, Arizona. Anybody been in Phoenix, Arizona in June, July, August? You know, it's a little tough, right? 112, 113, that's where I grew up. My dad was a mailman. This is in the 50s and 60s. My dad was a minor league player. My dad and my brother Bob still lives up. I have a house there in Phoenix too that I rent to my brother. But Bob still lives out there. And my dad, we loved him, but we were scared to death of Dad. You know why? If we did something wrong, he believed in corporal punishment. Do any of you guys know what corporal punishment is? Anybody? Anybody ever heard that term before? The older people have. We got banged around, okay, belted with straps. He said, well, that's not good. I said, yeah, but it got our attention, let me tell you that. We were scared of him, but we loved him. And here's a good story about it. He was a mailman. Middle class family. Tough being a mailman in the 50s and 60s in Phoenix. Why? It's hot, except in December and January and February, March. He had to carry that mail bag, pouch, door to door to door to door. Now they got a truck, they got, various ways to get around. But this used to be, door to door to door to door. And so every Monday morning, he was always cranky coming down for breakfast because Monday in Phoenix was magazine day, which means that pouch, that thing he had to throw over his shoulder, door to door to door, was very, very heavy. So me and Bob always said on Monday, be careful what we say at breakfast table, because Dad's really, always in a bad mood on Monday. And I'll never forget, I was 7 years old at the time. I was in first grade. Bob was 10. He's in third grade. And Bob didn't like his third grade teacher, so he was somewhat cranky every Monday morning too. So I'm at the table. Dad hadn't come down, and finally Dad comes down again. We loved our dad, boys, loved him, but we were scared of him. And that's good, I think. But all I know is I saw my dad come downstairs and sat down. And I'll never forget that day when he asked my brother Bob, 10 years old, a very simple question. Bob, what do you want for breakfast this morning? And my brother Bob must be in a foul mood. You know what he did? He said to my dad, oh, Dad, I'll have some of that damn cereal over there. I never saw my dad move so fast in my life. He went around the table. He not only was hitting Bob horizontally, vertically into the ground. The chair flies. He's crying. He's bawling. I'm 7 years old. And my eyes are like this. I'm shaking like a leaf. He's down on the ground. Still on the ground. And Dad slowly walks back and sits down and looks at his 7-year-old son, me. And the day I learned discipline, when he said to me, now, Ron, what do you want for breakfast this morning? I said, gee, Dad, I don't know, but I don't want that damn cereal, I'll tell you that. Yeah, that was the day I learned discipline. No question about it. When I came in, I met a lot of people. I've met a lot of people. In fact, today I always show up where I speak about an hour early, never been late. So I went to the post office, and the guy, I couldn't find him on my GPS. So the guy, I didn't know where I was in Ville Platte. I was downtown somewhere. And I said, do you know where the post office? He said, hey, follow me. I'll get in my car. I said, no, you don't have to do that. Just point. No, follow me. I want to take care of you. Isn't that nice? Huh? And so, I've already seen there's a lot of hospitality in this area. But when I came in, there's one of these players. He came up to me, and I'll give you his name in a second. He said, Coach, nice to have you here. One of you players. That's nice of a kid to say that. And then he said to me, Coach, listen, would you say something for me to the group? I said, what do you mean? I'm the speaker. He said, no, something happened to me last night. I want my teammates to hear it. My coaches here. My parents, my friends, the boosters here. Something occurred to my life last night. I want to tell everybody. I said, okay. He said, I'm scared to death of a microphone, get in front of people. Would you tell them what happened to me last night? I said, really? You want me to do it? What did you do? What happened? And when he told me what took place in his life last night, I said, oh my gosh, wow. I'll be happy to announce that to everybody here tonight. So I'm going to bring up here John Michael Dublichin. Where's John Michael at? Come on up here. Come here. Come on. Let's go. I'm going to do it. Go. All right. What a nice kid. What happened? Let's look at me. Wow. This is the greatest thing that can ever happen to a young man in his life. And it happened to him last night. Wow. You may get a standing ovation from your teammates here. I think you told me it happened at 9:30 last night. Anyway, at 9:30 last night, this young man achieved puberty. Hey, I'm sorry. I apologize to you. We know you haven't achieved puberty yet. So just hang in there. Now, there's a young man here that has never had a date in his life. I wish we had some young ladies here because I may auction him off to somebody here. And let me bring him up. That would be Hayden Drowdy. Come on up, Hayden. I can see why now. How you doing? Well, I've heard before I got here that this boy never had a date in his life. You could say why. And so I'm going to auction him off to some parent here who has a girl at their house. And we're going to make some money here, okay? And so this might be his first date ever. So basically, you know, if there's girls in attendance, a lot of places where I speak, there's a lot of dates there. And we're going to auction them off. And whoever wins the auction, he's got to date your daughter, okay? How about that?
I got a girlfriend.
I could care less. We're going to make some money here tonight. Is she here?
No, she just
She just left? Why'd she leave?
had to go hitting practice. Hitting practice.
Hitting practice. All right, come over here, right to the mic. All right, I got to make a decision here how much to start the bidding, okay? Let me face me, let me see your face. Turn this way. Turn this way. We better start the bidding at 25 cents, okay? This is a homely young man. This is not a very nice looking kid, okay? But you do have a girlfriend, huh? Just like I said the last time, I hate to see what she looks like. All right, 25, 25, 25. Oh, 25. No. Not looking too good. Listen, we need to make some money. We'll open the bidding to the boys now, okay? Anybody? Anybody hard up for a date? Anybody? Anybody? Huh? No? Anybody? All right, thank you. Go ahead. All right. Hey, none of the stuff I said was true except for the puberty boy, okay? Anyway, I met Coach Ashworth, right? But Chris told me that he was the coach, and so I did some research on him. His high school. You told me what high school, right? You were a catcher. Okay. Do you know he led the state in pass balls one year? He had so many pass balls, the people behind the home plate area in the box seats were on a first name basis with him. And his mom and dad always bought seats right behind the home plate so they could visit with their son every once in a while. He told me a story, you couldn't throw a lick. He wanted the pitcher to be a cutoff guy when a guy stole second base. I'll never forget, he said to me, finally, he didn't throw anybody out. He said, hey, what I want you to do, young man, is instead of, when a guy steals second, just throw the ball to third so he can't go just one base. You told everybody, I think, you hit 400 in high school, and he did. Hit 100 his freshman year, 100 sophomore, 100 junior. Did you tell the guys what your nickname was in high school? You're such a bad hitter? The teammates named him after a famous Chinese philosopher. Hit one soon. He led the team in RBIs one year. That's runs booted in behind the plate. But he was not very fast. He was slow. I mean, he was so slow, one time the guys had him race a pregnant woman in the outfield, he came in third. Some of these you won't get until you're on the way home. He was a backup catcher most of the time there, always in the dugout, you know, and he got hurt one time just sitting in the daggum dugout. He started to bleed, doing his thing, just watching the game. And before the game, he went up to the coach, and finally he got you in the ball game. He said, "Coach, why am I biting in the 9 spot?" And the coach said, "Because we don't have a 10 spot." And then one time he said, "Coach, who do I hit after?" And he said, "Everybody." So he's in the dugout doing his thing. His nickname was basically the judge because he spent all this time on the bench. So he's in the dugout doing his thing, and a ball got by one of the players, and unfortunately, hit him in the nose and broke the index finger on his right hand. You want to explain it to the guy next to you? No? Okay. So he became a liability on the high school field, so he became an asset on the bench. There's a slow crowd here tonight. Anyway. All right, guys, let's sit down, sit back, and look in the eye. We're gonna talk a little bit. The old coach is gonna talk, all right? I'm gonna make a difference in someone's life here tonight. Maybe 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. I don't work with guys your age. I work with 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Now with COVID, with another year of eligibility, 24. But I've been around kids your age a lot. Camps, clinics. I know for a fact that you have a lot of distractions right now. And I tell you parents, hey, love these kids. Love them, nurture them, but keep an eye on them because these distractions are amazing as I travel the country and see what's going on. We didn't have those distractions. You guys realize 2001, I'm the head coach of Georgia. We came back on a charter flight from Omaha to Hartsfield Airport in Atlanta to connect it to a bus to take it to Athens, 50 miles away. And we were on the bus, Pat McMahon, my hand-picked successor at Mississippi State, took the Florida job. They were trying to reach me on the bus to notify me of that. There wasn't a single player, coach, manager, or trainer on that bus in 2001, 20 years ago, that had a cell phone. Never had them. Some had those big boxes with those phones in them. You guys think cell phones have been around forever. These distractions these boys have right now are amazing. It's sad. Social media, video games. What are you raising your cap for? Oh, okay. Thought you were asking to go to the bathroom or something. Now, you guys know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to ask you to throw your phones away, video games, PlayStations, whatever. You're going to hear some stories here tonight before I let you go. They'll knock your eyes out. That's what I'm going to do tonight. I'm going to make you, when I shake your hand at the door, you'll find out as I close. I'm going to shake everybody's hand, the boys. I'm going to ask you to say something to me if you feel comfortable. Because these distractions are unbelievable. So parents, keep an eye on them. Watch over social media, all the elements that we're dealing with now. It's a crime that we have done it because most of them were started by who? And us. Force it on these kids. One of the distractions might be good-looking boys like you. You got girls at your school, or is this an all-male school? You got girls at your school? Okay, there's girls. And there's boys there that probably are distractions to you also. They're probably what you call, and I see it everywhere I speak. Talk to coaches and kids all over. There's good timers in the school that just say to you, as an athlete, as a good student, a family member, going to church, why are you doing that? Why don't you be a part of the in crowd? We're having a ball. We care about school, but not really. We'd like for you to be a part of our scene. You know, leave school early and maybe skip a day or two, and maybe on Friday, Saturday, come up to our parties. We have some alcohol and some minor drugs. Why are you going to school? Why are you studying all the time? Why are you playing sports? Why are you spending time with your family? Come with us. We're having a blast. They don't think you're having a good time doing what you're doing right now. We're having a ball. What fun are you having? High school should be the most important years of your life, and have a blast. I'd look at those gold diamonds if I was you, and I'd say to them, the next 1, 2, 3, or 4, or 5 years of my life, whether I'm a senior, a freshman, whatever, these are the most important years of your life right now. It sets the standard for the rest of your life. Your character, your morals, your references, your grades. Believe me, these are the most important years of your life. Do not let those kids do what they're trying to do all over the country with fentanyl now and marijuana and all that. Be a part of us. Be a part of us. Don't let them get you, because let me tell you, when they're 20 or 21, they didn't do well in school. Right when they're junior college, didn't do well. They're working a bad job, minimum wage, and they're saying to their fellow workers, boy, I wish now I could go back to high school because I blew it. I had fun, but boy, I wish. I can't do what I want to do, and that's going to be for the rest of my life. I get tired of hearing kids say, I wish I could go back to high school. I wish I could do it back and start all over again. Believe me, these are the most important years of your life. I can take any one of these boys. Let me have you come up here right now. I'm not going to embarrass you. I don't embarrass anybody, do I? No. I can come up, what's your name? Elliot, and say, I want you to introduce me to your 5 best friends right now, okay? But don't do it. I'm going to ask, let's say, I could do that. And I'm going to take each one of those friends, Elliot, and I'm going to spend about 10 or 15 minutes with them, talking about their values, what their plans are for the future, family life, church life, what's their character all about. I may spend 10 or 15 minutes with each one, your 5 best friends. When I finish with them, I'll come back to you, and I can either say 1 or 2 things. You're doing well, boy. You're hanging around the right people. Who you walk with now, the type of people you're going to walk with the rest of your life. Or I can say to you, Elliot, you got a problem. You may not have a problem. You have a big problem. You've got to make sure that you hang around with the right people. No question about it. There's a lot of kids right now struggling with all kinds of issues. Do not allow them to be in your face. When they're 21 or 22, you're not even going to have their phone number. You spend all this time with this girl or that girl or this boy or that boy, and now you want to call them, but you don't have a number anymore. They left Ville Platte. They're gone. What have they left you if you went to that party all the time, went to the drug scene and the alcohol scene? Maybe that, I'm just talking to maybe one person here. The rest of you are straight as an arrow. You're on target. You get a good degree. You got a good family. You got resources. You got morals. You got character. But that one person we don't want to lose. We do not want to lose that person. Now, you heard in the resume, I coached the Cape Cod League. Highness Harborhawks. Why do you think they call us the Harborhawks? Because we have a harbor over the right field fence. And there's boats out there, shark boats, whale boats, yachts. It's the Cape. We're surrounded by water. Completely surrounded by water. And after the game, they would always have, each restaurant in town would host us for a free dinner, the whole team. And I, as one of the coaches, my job is to go over there early in uniform while the rest of the kids get dressed. After a home game, make sure they're ready for us, make sure they understand what time we're going to be here. And so sometimes I have a little time before the boys show up, and I walk the harbor, get my exercise. Might have a cigar in my mouth, walk the harbor. Now this is a very liberal area, Massachusetts. I don't know if you knew that or not. Very liberal area. And I see kids your age, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Girls your age with the worst language I can imagine, with spiked hair, nose rings, inappropriate dress, strutting around, and boys with them, pants down to their butt, tattoos on their forehead, their eyebrows, bad language. And I feel like I want to go up to each one of them and say, who dressed you this morning? Who do you belong to? Is anybody looking after you? These kids have no chance unless they strike the lottery or strike oil. Have no chance at all. Absolutely no chance. And when they're 22, 23, what are they going to say? Boy, the system got me. Have you heard that before, parents? The system got me. The system didn't get you. You laid in bed that way, you're going to live in your bed that way. Believe me, those are 2 stories of the Cape Cod League. I think another thing I need to mention to you, I think I want to make sure that I follow my outline here because it's very important. Guys, there's a good chance I'll never see one of you guys again. Ever. Ever. Maybe in a hotel somewhere or an airport or whatever, you come up and say, hey, I remember you spoke at our banquet at Ville Platte. There's a 99.9% chance I'll never see you guys again. It's a one shot. That's all I get. Before you leave here, I'm going to give you a few stories to take with you. If some of you are struggling right now with your grades, struggling right now with your attitude, struggling right now with your values, your morals, your character, going the wrong direction or have bad friends, here's the good news. You're not 21 or 22. You're 13 or 14 or 15 or 16 or 17. You can change right now. You can change right now and separate you from the people that are trying to get you to be a good timer. Very important that I pass that on. Now, parents and all the people here, would you believe, and coaches, you may not believe this, these kids today are bigger, stronger, faster, quicker by far than when we went to school. They dunk earlier, basketball, they run faster, they swim faster. They're bigger and stronger by far than we went to school. But we didn't have the distractions that you boys have. And sometimes people disagree with me. Listen, I'll give you two quick stories. I've got a ton of them. Anybody remember the name Johnny Weissmuller? Do we have anybody really old here? Johnny Weissmuller, anybody? What was he?
Tarzan.
Tarzan. You guys watch Tarzan? Huh? You got Tarzan on your video games? Tarzan? Huh? Tarzan? We grew up with Tarzan, didn't we? We grew up with Howdy Doody and Tarzan, right? I'm not going to bore you guys, believe me, but just listen. I'm saying they're bigger and stronger now than then. Did you know what his athletic achievement was? A swimmer. He was an Olympic swimmer. 1936, Berlin. Set every record known to man. Every event. Gold medals. Johnny Weissmuller. Never been in a movie before. But when he got out of the water, he was such a handsome guy. Big and strong. And when the Olympics were over, all these gold medals, some producers said, that's going to be Tarzan because there were 7 Tarzans. Did you know that? 7? He was the first one. This was a guy who flew through the vines in the forest. Am I boring you guys? What's his wife's name? Jane. How did he know Jane's name? We grew up with Tarzan. How about the name of the chimpanzee? Cheetah. You say, well, I don't care about Cheetah. I don't care about Jane. Tell me what the story's all about. We didn't have 25 channels. We didn't have videos. We didn't have distractions. Tarzan was our hero, flying through the forest. Here's the story. He not only broke every record known to man, he shattered every record. Breaststroke, the backstroke, the crawl, everything. And when he came out of the water, there was no ESPN there, Fox News, CNN, nothing was there. But some people took a picture. That picture took forever to get back to the States. Had to go on a boat. It wasn't like we had satellites to send pictures. And when they got back there, people saw Johnny Weissmuller coming out of the water in that bathing suit. And they said, whoa, look at the muscles of that guy. Look at the arms. Wow. What a physical specimen. Now I see why. He won every event. So he became Tarzan. And you know what the reporters, what few were there, said? Nobody will ever break these records, ever. Look at that body. Nobody will ever swim faster than Johnny Weissmuller. Do you know today 13-year-old girls swim faster than Johnny Weissmuller? True story, 13-year-old girls. Y'all have Bear Bryant. Anybody heard of Bear Bryant? Famous coach. I know Nick Saban's a very famous coach, Bear Bryant. 1966. Listen to me. How many of you guys play football? Raise your hand. Love it. 1966. 11-0. Sugar Bowl. Average weight of the lineman was 192. The heaviest player on the Alabama Crimson Tide Sugar Bowl champion team weighed 217. Now, 217, I mean, that may be a safety, is all it is. The average right now in our league, in the Power 5 conferences, just about every lineman is over 300 pounds. Now, you might say, well, they're fat. Well, no, they're fat, but they're quick, too. No, things have changed a lot. Just think if these kids didn't have the distractions, you know, what their life would be about. All right, I'm going to ask for another boy to come up here. You didn't want to come up, did you? You looked at me. Did I already get you up here yet? Now, come on. I'm not gonna embarrass you. All right, look at me. Look at me. How tall am I?
5'6", 5'7".
How tall are you?
5'5".
Yeah, you're small. I'm 5'7.5". On a scale of 10 being really handsome and 1 being ugly, give me a number about me. 10 being handsome, 1 being ugly, give me a number.
7.5.
7.5. Thank you. You know why I did that? When the auctioneer, Brian?
Yes, sir.
Well, yeah. When you read their resume, some of these guys said, because they saw me walk in, wow. We thought he's 6'3". Thought maybe just a 10. I'm just average. Grew up in middle income, Phoenix, Arizona. Dad's a man, we already heard the story. How did that happen? Here's the story. How did I get into all the Hall of Fames? How did I become the president of all the coaches? How did I do more tours with the USA than anybody else? How did I write the leading book in college and at high school? How did that happen? I'll tell you the story real quick. Went to Carl Hayden High School in Phoenix. Anybody heard of that? No? No, of course you have. It was not a good football school. I went off of football my senior year. We were 0-12. No, 0-11. And we had a better year than my junior year because we only played 10 games my junior year. I mean, it's not what you call it, but it was a baseball school. It was a good baseball, Carl Hayden, Phoenix. Senior year, some of my friends were being called by coaches, college. A couple of them were signing cards for pro scouts. I'm a shortstop, second baseman, 5'7.5", pretty good. You know, not great, but pretty good. But I'm looking at my final game and say, basically, without saying it, scouts, hey, look at me. College coaches, how about me? I'd like to go on to college on a scholarship. They had a single call, a single card, a single phone call at all my high school career. So I went to Phoenix Junior College right down the road, tried to walk on. I got cut from my junior college baseball team. You say, so what? Well, stupid me, Arizona State at the time was like number 1 and 2 in the country in Tempe, that's a suburb of Phoenix. And I decided, since I got cut from the junior college, I'll stay in the junior college for a whole year, and I'm going to transfer to Arizona State, and I'm going to try out for the Sun Devils of Arizona State. How stupid that was. I walked out there, before I even went on the field, I kind of watched a couple of practices from the stands, and I got up and left, got in my car and said, that's a stupid thing to even think that I could play for the Arizona State Sun Devils. I played summer ball in Phoenix. Red Harden, a good friend of mine still. Played at Grand Canyon University. It was Grand Canyon College, at a small church-related school in downtown Phoenix. And all of a sudden, Gary Polk, their second baseman, is a Mormon. He had to go on a church Mormon mission. So he's going to be gone for 2 years. So Dave Brazel, the coach at Grand Canyon, told his friends playing summer ball, if you happen to see a second baseman maybe, or a guy who can play shortstop, you know, we got a small scholarship. He had no idea who I was. Red Harden called him and said, Ron Polk is, he's available. I think he's going to go back to Arizona State, maybe just be a student. He said, well, let me visit with him. He offered me a book scholarship. I go to Grand Canyon. I was a part-time player, played okay. Senior year, same story. Some of my guys were being entertained by pro scouts. Don't forget me. I know I'm only 5'7.5". I'm a 7.5. Doesn't look good, right? How about me? Nothing. Guys, you just need one break if you're around with good people. You just need one break if you're around people who care about you. I got that break. Dave Brazel, the coach of Grand Canyon, called me in at the end of the season and said, Ron, listen, I just got a call from Fred Roby down at the University of Arizona. They got master's degree programs that you might be interested in, and he's going to offer you a graduate assistant because you're a good student. To do what? I said, to teach circus classes like badminton. Every freshman in Arizona had to take a physical education class. And we young, I was just 22 at the time, or 21. I was just teaching service classes, getting my master's degree. There's a true story now, guys. Bear Down Gym, I don't know, anybody ever been to True Story in Arizona? Bear Down Gym is a famous gym where the basketball team used to play. And in the basketball gym, the way to get to the second floor is a spiral staircase. You guys don't you have a spiral staircase? Anybody in your home? No. Spiral staircase. They had stairs to the outside, but it was fire doors. And my office was in the third floor of Bear Down Gym. I had to go up the spiral staircase past the second floor and third floor. I mean, it's just, you walk up in circles. My office was a desk. There's no bigger than the back of this chair. And I shared that with somebody else. There's 14 in one room, a closet. That's my office. I'm getting my master's degree. In Bear Down Gym was the baseball coach's office, Frank Sanson. Frank Sanson's a famous coach. They're really always ranked high. This was when the West Coast dominated anywhere else. Arizona State, Stanford, Cal Berkeley, USC, UCLA. Now where's that? In the Southeastern Conference, ACC. You know, it's changed. Then the West Coast dominated the World Series every year. Every year. SEC, if they get one in every 5 years, they were happy. It was a football conference and a basketball at Kentucky. That's all it was. So I'm walking one day, I had some free time, and I said to myself, maybe if I go up to see Frank Sanson, maybe he'll have me come out and help shag, do wash, do what? I mean, just to be a part. Eddie Southern, son of Fielder, I met in school. And I said, Eddie, where's Frank Sanson's office? In the Bear Down Gym. He said, it's on the second floor, take a spiral staircase, take a left, take a right, that's his office. And I said, and I read about him. I mean, he's like my dad. Looked mean, was mean. I mean, he's just a gnarly old man, but he was a very good coach. And they were scared of him. Eddie Southern told me he stopped to play for him. So one day I just said, there's a spiral staircase. I'm going up the third floor. I think I'll stop in the second, take a left, and take a right. Maybe Frank Sanson's in, and maybe I can just say, Coach Sanson, anything you want me to do. I'll get some free time. I was scared to death. 3 times, guys, I went up to that spiral staircase and stopped and went back down, or went back up to my office, my chair, or my little table. Why? I said, he doesn't want me. I'm Grand Canyon. I didn't sign a pro contract, never played pro baseball. I got cut from my junior college. Why would he want me to help the Wildcats? I think they were ranked number 2 in the country coming into the season. Finally, about the third, I think it was the 4th time up, I got to the top, said baseball office, ugly, concrete second floor. I mean, just no graphics, nothing. Baseball office. Still remember, real narrow hallway. I walked down about 10 feet and said, baseball office now, and there's nothing else. I could see down the corridor an old man, gray hair, right at his desk, writing something down. And I knew that was Frank Sanson. I was scared to death. Scared to death. So I walked quietly down the hallway. Now, there's 2 things I could do when I get there. Because I got to decide. I could do this. Mr. Sanson, listen, Ron Polk here. Got cut from my junior college. Maybe you got something for me to do? Or I could say, Mr. Sanson, Ron Polk reporting for duty. I did the first one. Yeah, come on in. Introduced myself, told him my whole story. Again, I'd be happy to come out. I got some free time in the afternoon. I know you're starting fall practice. And he said, yeah. I said, really? He said, yeah, I'd love to have you. I said, really? So I went out and helped out. It's amazing what happened in the spring. First, before we were playing our first game, he called me in the office. I thought I'd been fired already. Didn't think I did bad with a wash or, picking up baseballs, throwing batting practice. Said, Ron, listen, Ken Cooper, who passed away, unfortunately, a few years ago, and Frank Sanson. Ken Cooper, my pitching coach, has decided not to be the third base coach anymore because he wants to be in the bullpen, and I'm too old. So, Ron, you're going to be the third base coach for the Wildcats this year. I said, whoa, I'm just 21, 22 years old, in front of all these fans playing Arizona State and Southern Cal, giving signals. And he said, well, we'll help you make decisions. I was a third base coach in Omaha, Nebraska. Big crowds, very few TV cameras then. ESPN wasn't even around. Maybe, local, maybe not as big as it is now. You know what I'm doing? I'm third base coach. I got my name in the back of the uniform. I think I'm something special. I'm looking at this crowd. Hey, look at me. Look what I did. Look what I did to get here. What did I do? I went up a spiral staircase and asked the guy for a break. That's all I did. That's all I did. And from that point in time, you know what I said to myself? I kind of like this. Crowds, interviews, people looking at you. I said, I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be a coach. I didn't know if I was going to be a junior high coach or high school. I didn't know what to do. But the University of Mexico gave me a graduate assistant. Coach there, third base coach. Somebody heard about me. Went here to here to here to here to here. Never interviewed for a job ever. Never got fired for a job. And here's what separated me, guys. No question about it. I made the decision when we got back to Tucson after we got eliminated in the College World Series. If I'm going to be a coach, I want to be the coach if I can, not a coach. Boys, it's a big difference between a the and an L. How many of you guys are the son, ran the son, the brother, ran the brother, the student, ran the student? There's a big separation right there. You want to be something special. How's it going to happen? So I decided then, it wasn't just distractions at all. If I like to hunt, like to fish, like to play golf, I said, that's it, I ain't going to do it. If I'm going to make this my job, by golly, I'm going to give it everything I can. That's the only chance I had. I didn't play pro ball. I got cut. I'm 5'7", right? I'm a 7.5, which is appreciate very much. I'm just average. You don't have to come from wealth. You don't have to come from a big city. You can come from Ville Platte. You can come from anywhere if you separate yourself from everybody else, become something special. How many boys have been to New York City, Manhattan, downtown? Anybody here? Do they have taller buildings than you have in Ville Platte? I drove downtown, by the way, in Ville Platte. I didn't see too many tall buildings. I found the post office. No boy. Have you seen pictures of how tall the buildings are? But this boy, 7 years old, with his mom and dad, they're tourists in downtown Manhattan. And this little guy couldn't be, oh my God, look at this one. This one's even tall. Mom and dad, I can't even. Whoa, look at this one here. This whole block was wall after wall of tall buildings. He'd never seen them before. And one was going up, a construction site. And the little boy said to mom and dad, well, maybe the person who's building these here owns the ones around, and he's also building this one here. And they said, well, probably, I don't think he'd be here, but there was a trailer there, construction trailer. And she knocked, the mom knocked on the door. And the lady answered. And she said, my son's here, he's 7 years old. Any chance the person who's building this other building now, who owns it, is here? She said, every Wednesday, he's here. And believe it or not, it's Wednesday. He's on the phone. He'd be happy to come out for a few minutes. I'll get him off the phone. He'd be happy to visit with you. He comes out. He says hi to mom and dad, introduces himself. And this guy is a developer of downtown Manhattan on this block. And he said to the young man, I gotta get going, young. You got a question for me? You know what that boy said? A 70-year-old question. He said, how rich are you? How rich are you? The man said, I've done well. I've done okay. You have another question? This was a good question. Have you always been rich? Have you always been rich? You know what that man said? No. Look at my workers. I love them to death. You know what? I love them to death. I used to be a worker. I used to carry cement. I used to pound bricks. I used to lay sheetrock. I mean, that was it. And the little boy said, well, what happened? I decided one day I don't want to be a worker. I want to be the worker. So you know what I did? I came before everybody else. I didn't take hardly any lunch. I stayed later than everybody else every day. But I knew I was going to do it, so I wanted to be noticed. You know what I did? I bought the brightest red shirt I could possibly find. Look at my guys now, love them to death. Gray shirts, blue shirts, white shirts. The brightest red shirt, I wanted to be noticed. And I got noticed. Got some shopping centers going, got the right people. I got this whole block, and that's my building going up. And it wouldn't have happened, except if I made that decision. I wanted to be the worker and separate myself. Guys, this is the separation time right now. The separation time right now in high school. Whether you're a freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. Whether you're struggling with your family, you're struggling with your grades, you're struggling with the good timers, hey, you got to separate yourself. I'm just a good living example of it. A good living example. Final story. How many of you guys are difference makers, you think? A leader. It's tough to be a leader when you're a freshman. It's tough to be a leader unless you have numbers. But everybody can make a difference in your home life. How many of you guys have gone into the coach's office and haven't said to him, Coach, how you doing today? Coach, thanks for having practice today. Thanks for putting a good practice plan together. Mom, I love you. Dad, I love you. Said it's not cool. It's not the cool thing to do. I think it's the right thing to do. Guys, do you know Christmas coming up? I just finished. It took me 4 months. 2,700 Christmas cards. Not only address everybody, but a handwritten 2 or 3 paragraphs to every one of my former players. You know, every birthday, every one of my players in the past. USA, Cape Cod, Mississippi State. If I kept addresses of every one of them, they get a birthday card from me. And if they're married, I know that. It's all done by hand. I don't have a computer. I got a typewriter. If they're anniversary, they get an anniversary card. Today, coming in, I called 5 kids to make sure they got their birthday card or anniversary card. Who does that? Anybody do it? Do you know if anybody does that? I do. You know why I do it? Anybody know why I do it? Why do I do that? You probably think I'm crazy, right? You probably doesn't even know what a stamp is. You ever been to the post office? What side of the envelope do you put the stamp, the right or left side? I'm proud of you. I talked to the kids at the Cape, what side of the envelope do you put a stamp? I said, stamp? Said, you been to the post office? No. Things have changed. By the way, the stamps, I just found out today, coming in and going up to 63 cents a stamp now in January. You know that? I don't care. I do it because why? They're part of my life. I'm going to be a part of their life. I separate myself because other people would say, who does that? Who does that? I want to be the coach. Again, I go back to the guys just saying, why did you want to be the English student? Well, I'm not as good as others. You can't. You eliminate distractions. Little boy down, well, I coached in Miami for several years. Miami-Dade, the University of Miami. Anybody been to South Beach, Miami? That's a tourist area. A lot of white sand like Gulf Shores, Alabama. Anyway, South Beach is known for water, clubs, boats, fun, games, whatever. This is a final story for you. It's also known for fish, sharks, whales, sailboats, yachts. And it's known as a beautiful beach with white sand, which in the summertime, boy, you can't wear, I mean, you gotta have shoes on or good soles on your sandals. You can burn your feet. It's known for one fish, mainly, that comes ashore. It's called starfish. Have you guys ever heard of starfish? They don't swim under the water. They swim at the, they got those little appendages. They eat on top of the water. And what happens in high tide, they come in to feed the popcorn, the hot dog that we left around. And they can't miss the bus. You know what the bus is? Low tide. The water's in, now it's going out rapidly. They can't run to catch the water. The little ones die. The big ones will smart enough to dig under the sand and cover themselves and wait and see if they can survive another day. The little ones are dying, they shrivel up. When the heat of the day, this little boy sees what's going on. And he's starting to grab the little guys, as many as he can. The water's a long way, and running with them in the hand and throwing them into the water carefully to live another day because he's so sad. A little man comes down. He was watching. He comes down, that boy, and said, "Son, what are you doing?" I said, "Please help me. Don't worry about the big ones. You know, they may survive. They're covering themselves with sand. They're hiding from the sun. Help me with these little guys. Look at this guy right here. He's so cute. He's dying. Please help me get as many as we can in the water." You know what that old man said to him? "That's the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life." The little boy said, "Why?" He said, "Look at the beach. It's miles and miles long. I bet there's hundreds and thousands of little starfish dying. What difference are you making? What difference are you making?" That little boy picked up that next little starfish, shoved it right in front of his eyes, and said, "I'm making one big difference to this little starfish," and walked that starfish out and threw him in the water. You know, tomorrow at school, pat in the back to somebody, maybe a girl that's overweight or a girl that's really, you know, not being treated very well, or a teammate is struggling or whatever. Going to coach and say, "Coach, how you doing today?" Why don't you make a difference? I try to make a difference, not all the time. I try to make a difference. That's just like that little boy with that starfish. Mom and Dad, you people here today, don't let these kids, they're in a great school, they've got a great coaching staff, I'm sure they've got great faculty, they're in the right place at the right time. Don't let them crash. Don't let them crash. Two lights converge in the open sea, and from the deck of one ship, a message sent. "We're in a collision course, adjust your course 10 degrees north." The reply came back, "Collision course confirmed, adjust your course 10 degrees south." Angrily, the captain sent a next message. "I am a captain, you better adjust your course 10 degrees north." The reply came back, "Hey, I'm just a second-class seaman, but you better adjust your course 10 degrees south." Now the captain got angry. Message was, "I am a destroyer. Adjust your course 10 degrees north." Reply came back, "Hey, I'm just in a lighthouse, but I think you better adjust your course 10 degrees south." Guys, don't crash. Be a difference maker. Leave here tomorrow or tonight in school tomorrow, even though you're not a great student right now, not the greatest athlete in the world. I will tell you one more story about distraction. I'm going to ask anybody here, been Dominican Republic. Anybody know what country shares the island in the Caribbean with the Dominican Republic? Haiti. You guys all know that? You're in a good school, you should, right? Haiti, Dominican, separated by the mountain range. What's the number one sport in Haiti? Soccer. What's the number one sport in the DR, Dominican Republic? Baseball. I go down there 12 times in a row, do clinics all over the island. These kids have no distractions at all. No cell phones, ever. No TVs, no satellites on their roof. The roofs you can't believe, the shacks, the poverty. They don't even have bathrooms in the house. They got to share an outhouse. They have to carry water to their house. They got dirt floors. Average wage is $6.50 cutting sugar cane. Poverty is immense, except in Santo Domingo. There's some rich people. And they don't speak English. The kids in DR, we call them the DR, don't speak English at all. Puerto Rico, yes. Cuba, I've been there 3 times. Nicaragua, been there twice. I've been blessed to be all over the world. It's amazing. I kept in good health. But Dominicans don't go to school but 3 hours a day. You know why? It's too hot. There's no air conditioning in the schools. It's always hot in the DR. You never have to wear a jacket in the Dominican Republic. Well, why are they so good at baseball players? I know why. I've been down there. They're really good in the worst field conditions you can imagine. Glass in the infield, no backstop, no mounds. If you go to the bathroom, it's just a hole right next to no dugout. It's unbelievable. The grass is so high, always in the outfield. You know why there's no lawnmowers in the sugarcane villages? Guess who cuts their grass? Guess who cuts the grass in the DR with no lawnmowers? Goats. Goats all over the place. If they don't have goats, they have grass this high. They'll lose baseballs. Why are they so good? They're not as big as you guys. They're thin, white rice and beans. They're outside practicing and playing all the time. They have 11 million people in the country. We have 330 million. They are dominating right now rookie ball, A ball, double A, triple A, the big leagues, Dominicans. Why? There were 11 million people. All 30 big league clubs have academies down there. 15, 16, 17-year-old kids, 250 each, times 30. And develop them, teaching them English, feeding them, clothing them. If they get good, they send them to spring training. Here's the reason why. Why are they good? They don't have uniforms. They have no trophies. They have no all-star teams. They're out there picking sides and playing and practicing every day. I have to have an interpreter with me. Now here's a good story, interesting story. I can have 200 Dominican public boys don't speak English. I know how to say a key here. Translator, ask all 200 through my translator, how many guys throw left-handed? In 200 kids, average only one. In the States, probably 50, 40. People always say, why only one? Because all of them want to be shortstops. That's where the money is. Shortstops, a lot of shortstops from the Dominican Republic. Position, shortstop. Position, shortstop. So when they're babies, when they pick up a fork with their left hand, mom and dad, no. They start writing. Everything's got to be done right. They want to raise money. They get money. Shortstops. One town, 2 years ago, listen to this. To the translator, Northern Dominican, big crowd, kids. Translator, I asked the guy, what's the name of your town? I can't remember what he said. How many people in town? He said around 67,000. And I said, how many guys right now from your town are in professional baseball in America? He said 97. 97. You ask anybody with 67,000 population in America, might have one. How can that be? They're not big or strong. They have no distractions. They have no TV, no cell phones. They're out there practicing and playing. They're that good. They're that good. Now here's the scary story. You people who follow baseball. 46% of all the professional players at every level, rookie ball, A, double A, whatever, all the way up. Last year were Hispanic. Cuba, Curacao, Mexico, Venezuela, Puerto Rico, Dominican, 46%. And it's going up 2% every year. Why? Many of those countries don't have distractions like these guys have. So here's the deal with the DR, the Dominican Republic. They don't speak English, so when they get to spring training and they get to with the club, they have to have a translator. Every minor league team now in the 30 organizations has got to have a translator so the manager can have a meeting with a team. They got to be sure that the guys from the Dominican Republic can understand what he's saying. That's fine. If the stats stay the same the way it's going, in 25 years I won't be around. There'll be who's translating in that dugout, in that locker room. An English translator for who? The one American kid still playing professional baseball. They're beating our butt right now. They're killing us. That's fine if that's what it's going to be. That's the difference between the cell phones, the video games, the social media. How good you can be if you want to be a pianist, you want to be the best pianist. You do that, all you do all day. In the morning, night, you're going to go to Chicago, New York, you can be world famous playing the piano. I'm sure none of you guys want to be that. I'm just saying, why don't you want to be something special? How tall am I? 5'7.5". Don't forget the half. What number I'm in? But I'm a 7.5. It looks. I'm an example. Again, small town. Do you know the two guys, the guy gave me money for the new baseball weight room? One from Iuka, Mississippi, in the oil and gas business, a multimillionaire. Other one, Scott Galloway from Stuttgart, Arkansas. It's the duck calling capital of the world, I think. The other one didn't play pro ball, Bobby Coco. Made his money out in Colorado. None of them played pro baseball. None of those guys played pro baseball. Why did the guy from Iuka become a multimillionaire? He separated himself. Leave the good timers go. Now, here's the deal before we leave. I'm going to be at that door. If I see one of you guys going out another door, I'm going to run and carry you back. Because you know what? I'm going to shake everybody's hands because it's the last time I see you. The last time I ever see you, okay? You might pick up the book, that's fine. They're all best wishes always from Polk. And, you know, you've got to put your name in there. I'm sorry we had to add it. I think you failed to mention that they only get 3 minimum books. 3 books. See it on the bottom there? Did you see it? You didn't read it. Here's the deal, guys. Anybody been in Thibodeau, Louisiana? Yeah, I spoke in Nicholls State several years ago. I flew in a private plane because I was on a tight schedule, and I only brought 30 books with me. And so when I finished speaking, I went to the back, and the person who's going to be helping me here was the person there. And she said, oh, one guy bought all the books. I said, what? I said, he just figured what you're charging, and what he can get on eBay or whatever, he's going to make himself a lot of money. And it happened 3 or 4 more times. So unfortunately, I got to limit it to 3 books per boy. All right? He said, well, I don't need to read 3 books, but maybe your family wants to buy some books for Christmas gifts for someone else. I didn't come here to sell books. I came here because I wanted to come. 7-hour drive. Don't feel bad for me. I got 7 hours back, okay? Feel bad for me when I'm in Chicago the next week when it's freezing cold, okay? Here's what's going to happen. I'm going to look you in the eye. You shake your hand. If I said something tonight that really hit home, one of the stories, yes, I need to hear that. I'm struggling. Got some people like Good Timers trying to get me away from my family, my church, my school, my athletes, my coaches. Yes, I want to be something special. Even though I'm not very handsome, I'm not that tall. I want to be something special. I'm going to start that tomorrow. I want you to look me in the eye. If I hit you home, and just look me in the eye and say 2 words, I understand. And look me in the eye and say that, I understand. You know what I'm going to say to myself? I may have thrown a starfish bag for that young man. How long it'll last, a week, a day, I don't know. Now, many of you are doing real well right now in school with your attitudes, your morals, your character. I'm just saying, we don't want you to crash. I'm here to help you. As an old coach who will never see you again, I know what I'm talking about. These next 1 or 2 or 3 years of your life will determine what you become the rest of your life. Surround yourself with good people. Now here's the deal. If you don't say I understand, I'm not going to punch you in the stomach. I ain't going to slap you. I'm going to say, hey, this kid's squared away. He heard it. He said, I'm all right. I'm doing that thing. That's fine. But if I did it, and don't say, well, I can't say it to you. I understand that's not a cool thing to do. Because somebody's right behind me maybe and hears me say that. And I'm not going to challenge you to say, what's wrong with your life if you understand what I said? I ain't going to do that. I'm going to shake your hand. And I'm going to feel like maybe my 7-hour drive today and my 7 hours back made a difference in one boy's life. That's me throwing a starfish back in the water. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to line up in a straight line. It won't be long. If you get a book, just bring it. It won't take me 2 seconds to put your name on it. We'll get you out the door. But every one of you is not going to escape from this room without shaking my hand. Everybody understand what we're going to do? I understand. Thank you.
Coach Ron Polk, ladies and gentlemen.